Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing the body mount on the Trans Am. We're going to replace the rubber bushings with solid mounts and prep for the subframe connectors. I know in the past videos I said I was going to have a friend of mine do it at his body shop, but he's been so tied up with work that he's not going to be able to fit me for a while, so I figured I'll take care of it myself and see how it goes. A couple of days ago I sprayed the bolts on the body bushings. There's 3 on each side on the front subframe, so I'm going to loosen them up and then attempt to change them with the Pro Touring F-body solid body mounts and see how it goes. So let's go. Here's the 6-piece Pro Touring F-body solid mounts. The ones with the nuts are for the radiator support and the other are for the subframe to body. And every single one of those is modular, so you can swap depending on how you want the body to subframe clearance to be. I'm gonna just do, this goes between the subframe and the body, so you can have the body higher or lower relative to the subframe. I'm gonna do it like this, slightly higher, just so I think this will give me enough clearance for the front wheels and tires to clear the fender. So I've sprayed the body bushings on them now, and I'm gonna start taking them apart. See how it goes. So we're gonna start by loosening up all 6, 1, 2, 3 on each side, and then whichever side we're gonna start with, we'll have to put the jack underneath and jack up the body so it will separate from the subframe, so we can take the bushings out. These look in relatively decent shape. They're not the originals. I think I did these about 30 years ago, like in the early 90s. I replaced them, so still 30 years old, but either way, even in this good a condition, you're supposed to use solid body mounts when you're using subframe connectors, so that's why we're replacing them. So I'm gonna start by loosening them up and go from there. At some point in its life, before I bought it, I think this car was in a front-end accident. You can see the radiator support is not in ideal shape. This is the body mount, the core support to subframe mount. I don't know whether they're supposed to have like that many bushings between them, between the subframe and the radiator support. It's the same on this side. So I might just put the full stack of the Pro Touring F-body here on top just to maintain that distance. And see how it goes. So I'm gonna loosen this one up too. This one has a different head than the others. The others were 15/16 or 24 at the 24 millimeter and 6-point. That's what I used, but this one looks like it's 5/8 or something. So we'll give this one a shot and see what happens. Okay, so loosened those up too. Those are 5/8. So now I'm ready to jack up the body and start swapping bushings. Passenger side, rear one is out. So this is the one that's gonna go in. The new one comes with a smaller washer to go between the mount and the head of the bolt. So even though it's fine, I'm just gonna take the larger washer out of the old one and swap it out here so it has a bigger surface area. So do it that way. So when taking it out, I had to put my pry bar and pry the subframe down so it will give enough clearance for the old bushing to come out. So got to put a little bit of effort in it to make it slide out, because on the old units this side sits on the body and goes through the hole, so you have to have enough room for this whole thing to come out. The beauty about the newer one is that key goes in from the bottom, so the top just slides in or goes between the frame and the subframe and the body. So all you need is this much room, and then the other stuff just bolts in from the bottom. So I'm gonna put that in, probably put a little bit of blue Loctite on it and put it on. So I just took out the passenger side radiator support. It is actually that tall. I had doubts initially whether they added just to compensate for some front end damage, but apparently this looks like it's the full. Even has the factory tab on it. Take it out. So when you take it out, you can see the sleeve goes all the way through. So, and then what I'm gonna do is, when I install the new one, I'm going to install it like this. So this compresses, and it should be the same thickness as this one, so we should be good to go. So I did the passenger side for practice. Now I'm gonna do the driver's side. So this is the driver's side radiator support. You can see the damage from the accident years ago before I got it. So the way to replace them is to jack the front subframe so it will lift up and separate from the radiator support, so you can push those bushings out. So I've also, down here, you can see, put the jack on the frame, and I also put this jack stand underneath the radiator support just for some extra measure. Nothing, it's not like it's gonna drop, but I just put it there. So now I'm just gonna jack up the radiator support, the subframe, and then loosen up that bolt, and then take out the bushings and put the new one in. The factory has a flat nut over there with a tab, so it will stay in place when bolting and unbolting. The new one is a completely different bolt size. I can't use that tab to bolt the bushing, the new bushing in. So it doesn't matter. I'll just hang on to that one. It's a cool factory piece. Anyways, so, and jack up the subframe and take this one out and put the new one in. There it is. Once you jack up the subframe, the bushings will slide right out. So we'll just put the new one back in now. So we'll have to take these and slide them in there, and then I'll have to run this from underneath the car to capture those and nut it in. So let's do that and see what happens. So after much struggle, I had to go and get a 1/2 inch longer bolt than what's in the kit because it wouldn't reach. I think this is where my problem with the left front being slightly lower is coming from. Looks like the radiator support had a good hit, and rather than put a new one, they just banged it into place and got it straight enough, but not perfectly straight. So that's why I'm having issues. But for now, I put it in like this. It's not fully tightened. I'm gonna see if once all the bushings are in, if I tighten it, that's gonna go all the way up. If not, that means I got a problem, and either gonna tow it to my friend's shop, or I don't know, I'll figure something. Put the other bushings back in for now, just so I can drive it. But looks like this is where that problem is coming from. So for now, both radiator supports are replaced. Now I'm gonna move on to the subframe on the driver's side and see if I can get those done. So stay tuned. Next, we'll be tackling the middle bushing on the passenger side. You can see the mount had been corroded over the years, and when I had the body mounts done 30 years ago or so, the guy who did it put a couple of tack welds on to keep the bushing plates in place, I guess. So I gotta grind those spot welds. There's like two, I think there's 3 of them. I'm gonna grind those off, and so I can get this mount off and then put the new one in. I think when I looked at the other side was the same way. He had put a couple of tack welds. So I'm gonna get the my little mini grinder and grind those welds off so I can get this bushing out. So let's see how it goes. After finishing the body bushings, now it's time for the subframe connectors. We're on the passenger side, and I just used my floor jack to put the subframe connector in place so I can mark it up and mark the holes where I gotta drill them. So the subframe here and the connector here is pushed as far forward as possible, and this in this U channel is basically touching the subframe and up there. So, and I used a scribe to mark the location of the holes. I had to take this clip out so the fuel lines would move away from the frame so I can slide that in. So I marked those, and I'm gonna drill them. The rear is gonna be slightly more involved because, as you can see where it's mounts there, the leaf springs are in the way. The other side is easy to mark, and it has the same thing. There's a the fuel line is clipped there, so you gotta take the bolt out so you can slide this thing up as far as it's gonna go. Here's one of the lessons I learned on this project, and if you're doing something similar, probably be worth noting. When I started this, I did the fuel tank last year because I wanted to drive the car and not wait until the other parts were done. Then I did the springs. Now I'm doing the subframe connectors, and every part is getting in the way of the other one. So in the long run, the lesson learned here is if you're gonna do something similar, start from the front, do the body bushings, then do the subframe connectors, have the leaf spring out of the way. If you're gonna replace the leaf springs, take the leaf springs out and do the subframe connectors, then put the leaf spring back in, because right now there is no way for me to drill the holes. Even if I was gonna weld, there's not enough room for me to get the welder in to get to weld this whole thing. So if the spring comes out of the way, then we'll have plenty of room here. So lesson learned is start from the front and move out back. So as you saw in my leaf spring install, the gas tank was in the way. So if you're gonna do all of those, start from the front, do the body bushings, put the subframe connectors, then install the leaf springs, then put the gas tank on, and life will be much easier. So right now that I have everything marked up, I'm gonna mark the holes and start drilling in the front. And then unless I come with a creative way to get to the holes there, I'm just gonna have to drop the leaf springs to drill the holes and then mount the subframe connector. So now that the spring is out of the way, I dropped it. You can see those two marks, how easily accessible they are. So I'm gonna center punch them and then drill the holes and then start reassembly. See how it goes. So here you can see the two holes are finally drilled. I took out the spring, dropped it, drilled the holes. Interestingly enough, the other side was actually more difficult because there was no room. So I was able to take my smallest drill bit, cut the end of it so it will fit in the space between the muffler and the frame. Let me see. My angled drill bit, I had to take the smallest drill. Here it is. I had to cut the drill and then stick this thing in there almost all the way in, so the it will fit between the frame and the muffler. Here are the two holes. I gotta clean this up, but the muffler was in the way, wouldn't fit. So I'm gonna put the wheel and tire back on and level it, put it on the stand like the others, and then install the subframe connector. You want the car to be on all fours to install the subframe connectors. So I'm gonna put the wheel on and see what happens. Passenger side subframe connector is in, bolted in. You can see the bolts here. I put them in the bolts from the inside out, because if you do it the other way, there's no way you're gonna be able to take the bolts out without dropping the spring. So it's in over here. The hole where the clip was for the fuel lines was somewhere in here, so I drilled and tapped a new hole and put the bracket back in. So I wanted to refasten as much of the brackets as I can so the fuel lines won't flap. The back one here, the fuel lines here, the bracket was still, went in the same spot as the subframe connector did not interfere. So we're good on this side. I started the driver's side. I drilled the holes on the front subframe, and now they're just loosely in place. So I can mark the back side. I'll show you, get to the other side, I'll show you what it looks like. I moved the wheel out so I can show you better. You can see where the two holes are. Just absolutely no way the drill is gonna go in straight. You can try at an angle, but that's gonna turn into a crap fest, for lack of a better word. So the easier way and the right way is to drop the spring so you can get full access, straight access to those bolt holes. And once the spring is dropped, here you can see how much open the area is, so I can drill straight. So that's what we're gonna do. The passenger and driver side subframe connectors are in. They're bolted in eventually, when it goes to the body shop, I'll have them welded in, but for now they're both bolted in and they're as sturdy as they can get. So all that's left now is just to take it out for a spin and see what kind of a change it is from original non-subframe connector setup. Here on the driver's side, the bolts interfere with the brake line, so for now I just put a piece of rubber hose between the brake line and the head of the bolt so it won't destroy the brake line, but eventually, like I said, when it gets welded it won't matter. But for now I have that in place. So that's it for the subframe connector. So this completes the chassis stiffening portion of the project. So after installing the subframe connectors, I wanted to take it out for a spin to see what it feels like. And just so happened my friend stopped by and we decided to take the TA out for dinner. And we just came back from the dinner, and I have to say, what a difference it makes. The rattles that are typical of second-gen F-bodies are almost completely gone. I'd say it's 90% gone, and the car feels tighter, stiffer, quieter. No rattles, squeaks, typical that we're used to on this generation F-bodies. So overall, I am so happy with this setup, with the amount of time I spent making sure I installed these pieces. All the headaches, the time spent was all well worth it. So if you have a chance to do chassis stiffening on a second-gen F-body, short of doing a full cage on the car, the chassis stiffening kit, which is the subframe connectors, the G-braces, and the solid body bushings are the best thing you can do to the car. It just makes so much difference. So I'm really happy with it. I'm really happy with the parts I got from Pro Touring F-body, as they made so much of a difference. So the only thing left on it now on the outside is doing the front springs and shocks, and the suspension and chassis and brakes will be completely done. And next will be the battery is 6 years old. I've decided to replace it. Rather than replace it in place, I'm gonna relocate it to the trunk to get some little weight off the front, and then make it better as far as corner balancing, because in the plans someday is to take it to the road race course, which is about an hour away from here. So for now, I'm gonna call this a success and then start planning for the next project, which will be the AC, meaning to do it for a while. See the boxes sitting there waiting for it to be done. So it's on the list, but for now, I'm gonna wish you guys a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Today is December 27th. Christmas is gone, but New Year's around the corner. Hopefully 2024 will be a great year. We'll have more projects to do. I'll have more fun with it. So thanks guys for watching. It's been a pleasure doing this, and I'm so happy that I think as of today I got 161 subscribers, which is way more than I expected I'd ever get, which is great. Hopefully you guys keep watching it. I'll have more content coming. The excursion is in the garage. I got a couple more projects for it. And then my wife's Escalade, a couple more projects on that. So got some more stuff coming in 24, and hopefully the Talon will be done and we'll have a chance to take it out to the track, dyno, and see what it will do, rekindle the old flames. Anyways, thanks for watching guys. I'll catch you later.